The injury factor is why he's kind of right in that position where medical is going to have to be the key here. Your medical staff signs off, you move forward with Tua. He has a higher grade, significantly higher grade than Haskins. You could make a strong case that the Redskins should take Tua at number 2. Trading out of there, knowing all the needs, knowing the value of that second pick for a quarterback is the other option. The third is just sit there and take the best player, which is Chase Young, because he's a pass rusher, and that's what you need in this league if you feel internally that Dwayne Haskins has a chance to be great. If they can isolate that and say, we see enough of Haskins, we've been with him, we see his football acumen, we see how the team players gravitate to him, we see the charisma, that it factor. If they see all that, then Haskins is your guy. You trade that pick and you get all those extra choices, or you take Chase Young.
Not to beat this point to death, but this reminds me of two different drafts, this Tua situation as it relates to Washington with Haskins. The NBA draft in 2015, when there was Kristaps Porzingis, probably maybe the best out of everybody, and it was almost lucky that you drafted 4th because the other 3, the choices were made for you. It feels to me like that's with Tua. To have the number 1 pick and take Joe Burrow, you might be like, I kind of really want Tua. I could be a team way down and get Tua. And the other thing is the 04 draft, where the Chargers wind up with Phillip Rivers, even though they already had Drew Brees. And I guess the feeling was, yeah, Drew Brees is okay, but this guy's going to be better. In retrospect, that was a mistake. Rivers has been excellent, but you had Drew Brees. You didn't need to draft another quarterback. I guess I'm asking you, if you were running Washington, Mel, what would you do here? Would you believe in Haskins, or would you grab Tua? I think I'd grab Tua, maybe even over Chase Young. He's special.
Well, you can have all the Chase Youngs you want, Max. If you don't have the quarterback, you're spinning your wheels. This is a quarterback league all the way. What was the difference in the Super Bowl? Mahomes and Garoppolo late in that game. 4th quarter, Garoppolo didn't get it done because he's a good quarterback. He's not great. Patrick Mahomes is great. Didn't have a good game, but he had a really good finish, and that's all that matters. So I think you look at Tua. If the medical staff clears him, and this is the leap of faith you have to take. The medical staff is going to be key to this, more so than the scouts and the evaluators. They're the key. If they sign off, you take Tua at 2. There's no doubt about that. You take Tua. You don't trade the pick. You don't take Chase Young. You take Tua. And hey, if Haskins turns out to be better, then great. Then we can trade Tua. Okay? There's nothing wrong with it. We're not saying we're dumping Haskins. We're forgetting about Dwayne Haskins. We're giving up on Haskins. Let him battle it out and see who the best man is. Haskins already has a head start. He's got a year in the league. So let's see what happens.
Fall to daddy, Chase Young. Fall to New York, Chase Young. Here we go.
When we decided to beat the Redskins. Mel, talk to me about New England. I find this interesting. If they do move on from Tom Brady, we know they need wide receivers. This is a deep class. But what's the likelihood that they went quarterback? Because obviously they're going to have a lower draft pick.
Well, yeah, and then the whole Andy Dalton talk about trade. What quarterback's going to be there? Will they trade up to get Tua? Max was talking about Chase Young. You got the Detroit Lions sitting there. Could they trade out? If Chase Young's there, they're not trading out. You take the pass rusher. That's what you need if you're the Detroit Lions. You don't let somebody else jump in there. So that would be interesting to see there how that worked out. And then maybe the Okudah would go 4, Jeff Okudah from Ohio State, the corner. But I think when you look at right now, I think the key element here in this first round is Tua's health. That's what it all boils down to. If everybody feels good about it moving forward, remember 3 lower extremity injuries, not 1, not 2, but 3. If they sign off on it, it's going to make the fascinating part of this draft 2, 3, 4. What does Miami do? They can't sit there at 5 any longer. They got to try to move up. How do the Chargers feel? What do they do at 6? Does somebody else move up? We're talking about Phillip Rivers at Indy. Well, do they still go up and get a quarterback and let Rivers have it for 2 years? But remember, I think for Tua, maybe better to medically redshirt him, let his body heal, and get him ready for 2 seasons beyond this when he would be ready to go.
Mel Kiper Jr., based on what you saw from Joe Burrow this season, how excellent he was en route to winning the national championship and the Heisman Trophy, knowing what you know about him based strictly on this past season, who do you think is the better pro prospect, him or Tua, or a healthy Tua?
Well, that's the thing. He's not healthy, Stephen A. That's why we're sitting here wondering about what the medical is going to say about Tua. Had he been healthy, it would have been a tough call. Burrow, Tua. It's like why was Rivers and Manning interchangeable? Because they had a similar grade, as did Ben Roethlisberger. Okay? That's why it was interchangeable. So then maybe Burrow could have said, well, I don't want to go to the Bengals. He could have pulled a power play then, and the Bengals could have said, okay, we'll just take Tua. Okay? You know what, be here, we'll take Tua. But they're not interchangeable because of Tua's medical status. Burrow comes in clean, Tua does not. That's the reason why this draft was thrown out of kilter and makes it very interesting in terms of the top 5 now. Tua would have been locked in to 1 or 2. He's not right now locked in just because of that medical question mark.
Mel, I understand obviously the medical stuff. That's real. He even mentioned, hey, I could rest behind a quarterback. That shows a good sign that he's in touch with it.
Rest behind Dak Prescott, right?
Behind Prescott and the whole thing. Tua has some special
if
characteristics.
the Redskins looking, you got Haskins there too. Guys, you
right.
got Haskins and him. Haskins could play. And keep in mind, Mahomes didn't play his rookie year. He wasn't even hurt. He just redshirted and played the final game while Alex Smith played. So letting the body heal for 1 year is not a bad thing for Tua.
So Tua has special qualities, including and especially maybe his accuracy. He has a strong enough arm and he's stupid accurate. Left-handed quarterback with that kind of accuracy. Yeah. Does Burrow do anything, do you think, as well as, does he have any single quality that matches up to some of Tua's most special qualities?
Burrow has phenomenal pocket instincts, Max. You don't see guys that keep their head up and maneuver in the pocket and can find guys like he can. And to adapt to this Saints offense as quickly as he did, and to be he never had a hiccup. He never had a misstep. He was phenomenal all year. Okay, so I think that's why Joe Burrow is number 1. To go back to Tua is kind of a left-handed Drew Brees. And I think that's why you got 2 guys right now. That's why for the Redskins, I can't talk about that enough. If you're the Redskins, you got a tough call to make.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.